All right, folks. So now we are at Genesis Phase 5. So this was at the 2 hour and 20 minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. This was Benoit Bossiger, CTO, and then Ollie Brown came back. So this was, one of the coolest parts of the presentation. This kind of put it all together. So they talked about cloud improvements, cloud formation, and dissipation, right? So cloud improvements, the stuff that is going to determine a lot of the weather, right? Like we need to know imagine you're on a planet and you see wall clouds, right? Now, if you live in the United States and you live in Tornado Alley, you know that a wall cloud means a tornado is coming, right? So if you are in the game, imagine knowing like what the weather looks like and being able to say, oh, it's time to get out of here, or like, oh, maybe it's just gonna rain or whatever. And if you know it's just gonna rain, then maybe you like cover up the things that don't need as much moisture on your farm, or maybe you cover up, or maybe you open things up to the moisture, or maybe you put out things to catch water, or because it doesn't rain that often. Like that's why this stuff matters. So every time I think of this stuff, I always think about how does it affect you in game, right? Not to mention like certain things are certain things are, gonna be slippery when it's wet and so on and so forth. So it's not just the formation of the clouds that they did, they also worked on the dissipation of the clouds. And I think that's just as important, because you also need to know when the weather's clearing up and things like that, right? And all that stuff matters for the game. One of the things that they did this new shading model for deeper cloud lighting. So it's so you can see into the cloud, right? So you can see like how close is the sun behind that cloud, right? So think of it as like you're holding a sheet up and then there's a light behind it, right? And the more sheets you hold in front of it, the darker that light gets until you can't even see it anymore. But the more sheets you take down, the brighter the light gets, right? So it's like, as you're going through a cloud, how do you know whether you're getting to the end of it or not if you can't see the light at the end of the cloud tunnel, so to speak? So that's what I think of when I think of, the shading models for deeper cloud lighting. So, that part of that is the clouds creating shadows. And then they released the Kraken, so to speak, as far as weather, and they said they're going to have full weather simulation via weather fronts. So that means things are going to look wet, there's going to be puddles, there's going to be light casted through the rain going to come based on like natural conditions that actually create rain. It's not just going to be like, oh, it just randomly started raining. No. Wind makes flight more difficult in the atmosphere. Like if you are flying and it starts raining, it might be fine because it's just rain. But if it's rain plus wind, now you're going to have less visibility, and the wind's going to make you fly a little weird. So maybe you have to oversteer in certain directions. And then lightning can strike your ship, which is absolutely insane. That aurora was done because of lightning. Imagine flying through a cloud and like you don't gotta worry about pirates anymore. You gotta worry about whether that lightning is gonna strike you. So it's going to make people hesitate to just fly through a weather front, right? So all these things are gonna affect the way we play the game, right? So if I have an aurora-sized ship, I might be worried about a lightning strike because you saw what it did in the video, right? I might say, hey, I'm gonna wait till this weather clears. But what if I'm running from somebody, right? So now I might have to stay a little bit lower so I don't get into those clouds and actually just find somewhere to hide until the weather clears. Like that drastically changes the way you play the game. So I don't want people to just be looking at this stuff and being like, oh my goodness, like, why does this matter at all? No, it matters because it's going to change the way you play the game. Because weather can restrict your flight, and it can restrict your driving ability. Because imagine an over-flooded area. Now you can't drive through that because it would be like your car being able to drive through water. You can't drive through it. Now you have to fly over it. What if you don't have a vehicle that can carry your vehicle? Now you have to leave your vehicle to go and finish your mission and hope nobody steals it, right? So it's going to change the way we play the game, and it was a huge thing. I absolutely love the visuals from that piece. It was actually really cool. Like I genuinely enjoyed that section, how they brought all of this stuff together. It was incredible. But yeah, that was phase 5. That was the whole Genesis part of the presentation. So next we'll move on to the part about a social universe.